So I'm doing a video on press conference of Jesse Minter for the Los Angeles Chargers. Jesse Minter is a defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers. This press conference is Jesse Minter is talking about the next preseason game versus the Los Angeles Rams. The last time the Rams and the Chargers, well, I guess I won't say the last time they met, but about a week ago, they had a joint practice. The Chargers defense dominated the Rams offense. And so, hopefully, that history can repeat itself. We will need the Chargers defense to dominate the Rams offense again, even though it's preseason, which I definitely believe they will, because in all honesty, even in our last preseason game against the Seahawks, the Seahawks offense it's not like nothing to really be afraid of, their offense, especially with their new head coach, Mike Macdonald, and as Mike Macdonald being a defensive coordinator as their head coach, and then especially with them having Geno Smith and DK Metcalf, he is the best receiver on the Seahawks team, but he's not one of the best receivers in the NFL. I wouldn't even put DK Metcalf in my top 10 of receivers, to be honest. I'll put him in my top 20, but not top 10. Maybe 15. Maybe top 15. But anyway, the point I'm making is that even though the Chargers did play really, really well, their defense played really, really well last preseason game. I should say the Chargers defense, not the Chargers. Their offense was some concerns. But Justin Herbert wasn't in. He wasn't playing, so it makes sense. So, but with that being said, Jesse Minter, man, he is definitely doing his part right now. And I believe Jesse Minter definitely, if he wants to, which I hope he doesn't, I hope he stays with us, but he definitely will be a head coach somewhere in the NFL. He's too great. He is a defensive mastermind, and because of him, the Chargers are going to be a very, 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 and I won't say the only reason why because of him, because we do have Jim Harbaugh. The Chargers are going to be a very scary, dangerous team. This is what people don't seem to get, especially when you listen to these analysts, you watch the NFL commentary, you listen to ESPN, First Take, Undisputed, all these different shows, or even YouTubers, whatever. This is one thing that people always overlook. Even when you're talking to fans or debating about football, they overlook coaching on every level of this sport. Coaching matters. Coaching matters more than anything. Now, I will say this. There is different levels of how much coaching will matter in football. Coaching matters in the NFL more than anything. And the reason why it does, it matters more than a player's athleticism. It matters more than the skilled players. It matters more than anything. If you don't have great coaching, your team is not going to be successful. I can't think of any team that has been successful in NFL history with the lack of at least good coaching. I won't even say great, at least good coaching. I don't know any team that has experienced that amount of success with a lack of good coaching. It matters. In the Chargers, this is why I'm so big on the Chargers right now. Not because I'm a Charger fan. It really isn't. I've been a Charger fan all my life, but I have been very, very, prior to Jim Harbaugh era, I have been very, very frustrated with the Chargers. I stopped representing them. I just did not want to tell anybody I was a Charger fan. And sometimes I even got to the point of, like in my earlier days, representing other teams that because I just couldn't stand what the Chargers was doing at the time. Any Charger fan will be able to understand where I'm coming from, because just how terrible of management the Chargers were the brand of the Chargers was just terrible management, terrible decision making, just losing. Not losing so much as Browns or the Lions were back in those days, but so much as the Chargers just always finding a way to shoot themselves in the foot. Always finding a way, finding creative ways to lose games. And the Chargers hardly ever lack talent. We have always pick up and draft pretty well. I mean, you talk about LaDainian Tomlinson, Antonio Gates, Sean Merriman, Antonio Cromartie, Kenny McCardell. I mean, you talk about Quentin Jammer, Eric Weddle. You talk about so many great players that has came through the San Diego Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers. Ryan Matthews, he was a really solid running back when healthy. You know, I mean, Vincent Jackson. You know, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Sean Phillips. The Chargers has always been able to pick up great players. Always. But at the same time, under the same breath, we're always chargering, which is a term that people start to say, came up with, because the Chargers always just find ways to just lose games. They always come up short. They can hardly win 2 playoff games in a row. We had our best era of winning when we had Marty Schottenheimer. So, I mean, that's my point when I say that coaching in the NFL matters more than anything, because everybody in the NFL is talented. Everybody is athletic. Everybody is running fast, is fast or whatever. This football in the NFL is almost like an entirely different sport when you're talking about football. It's like a different kind of football. It's a whole level of elite. The people who says that, and the people, and I'm going to push back on people who says this nonsense. People who says that college football is just as competitive or more competitive than NFL, they don't know. They lack the understanding of how competitive the NFL is. The NFL is like Navy. It's like going through the bud process of being a Navy SEAL, like the training process of being a Navy SEAL. It's all mental. It's all how confident are you? How self-confident are you? The athleticism, the skill set doesn't even matter anymore. And I would say, maybe self-confidence and having that mental edge is a type of skill set and maybe a type of athleticism, but the NFL, to be great at NFL, it's mental. And even I know some professionals in the NFL, and I've talked to a former assistant general manager when I went to the NFL Combine, and I talked to this guy. His name is Dick Daniels, and he's an NFL consultant. I met him at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis in when I went to the Combine in January, February. I can't remember what month it was, but anyway, I talked to him, and he told me, because I was telling him, I said, yeah, it's mentality, right? Like, because he was saying, like, what really separates NFL players from college players, and why a lot of college players can't even, some college players who are so good, who can dominate in college and they suck in the NFL. And I was saying, yeah, it's mentality, isn't it? It's a sense of mentality. He said, not even that so much. He said, he was talking about how it's biomechanics, how that really also separates the NFL from college. It's a whole nother ball game. Your body, your mind, it's different, and so it's almost different where where the NFL is its own sport within itself. So the people who says that college players are on the same level as NFL players, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. You just don't. You don't know what you're talking about. I never played it down in the NFL. I never played it down in college ball. I was really, really very, very close to being successful walking on at the University of Alabama, but I faced a lot of issues with the NCAA and everything. and I did made a team playing for Stillman, it's a D2 school in Tuscaloosa, the same city of Alabama. But again, I made the team for Stillman, but I still did not. It was a lot of issues that I was experiencing with the NCAA. But I haven't played it down. But I've done a lot of studies of football. I've been in football half my entire life. Spent 11 years training my ass off to make it to the NFL. 11 years, 7 days a week, 12 hours a day for 11 years. Talking about training sessions, looking up how to train, how to be a shutdown cornerback, watching every single film and tape on Darrelle Revis. I was a cornerback. I played wide receiver in high school, but when I got to college, I switched over. Well, I did switch over from cornerback to wide receiver in high school as well, my last years in high school. But I first started off as a wide receiver. But I'm talking about playing football in different states, from Virginia Beach to Alabama, and just watching so much tape, so much film, studying the game inside and out. And this is one of the reasons why I couldn't get cleared by the clearinghouse, because I wasn't that good in high school, but I got exceptionally better in college. But I was too obsessed with being a better player because I sucked so much in high school that when I was in college, I wasn't even going to class. I was skipping class just to go train. When my class would be at 10 a.m. and I'm on the field running wind sprints, because I was just so obsessed with wanting to be this great player for Nick Saban. I knew how hard it was going to be to walk on at the University of Alabama. I was getting my body right. I put myself on this extremely high diet plan. High calorie diet plan. At the time before I started, I was almost 140 pounds. I always had problems with my size, but I'd done a lot of research on how to pick up weight. And so what I did was I copycatted and I picked up diet plans from NFL players. Anything that an NFL player did, I did. I literally lived my life like an NFL athlete. That's why I wasn't going to class. I was enrolled in school, but I wasn't going to class. And so I picked up like 40, like I was eating a lot, and I wanted to be, because the walk-on was going to start in January, and I started this really heavy plan in August. And so I boosted up my training regimen. I was just like, okay, I gotta really, really be locked in so I can be ready for Nick Saban when I walk on, because I want to walk on. I don't only want to walk on, I want to start as a cornerback for the University of Alabama. And so I really put in a lot of work. So I picked up like 40 pounds in like 4 months. So I went from the 48 pounds in 4 months. I went from 140 to 188 pounds. And so I was very close to reaching my goal of being a 200-pound cornerback. And I decreased my 40 time because I was also studying how to decrease your 40, how to decrease your cone drill, your L drill, the 5-10-5s, all that stuff. I did a lot of studies in additional to me studying how to be a shutdown cornerback like Darrelle Revis. And so that's why I'm so big on Darrelle Revis. That's why Darrelle Revis is my favorite player ever, aside from Tom Brady, Terrell Owens, But I did a lot of research on that, and I decreased my 40 time from a 4. Well, when I first ran my 40 in high school, I ran like a 4.7, and then I started, when I got out of high school, I started doing a lot of speed training. I started looking at NFL athletes who were just incredibly fast, like Michael Vick, Chris Johnson. I adapted their speed training. So I adapted their speed training when I got out of high school, and I also did a lot of research on how to decrease your 40 time and explosiveness also. And so in power, because I wanted to really be able to really explode right out of the gate when I was doing my 40. And so it's a skill and it's a trick to it. It's not all speed. It's really a fundamental technique on how to decrease your 40 time. So additional to me being fast, I was also studying on how to decrease my 40 time as well, the technique. So I decreased my 40 time from a 4.7 to a 4.3, a 4.33 when I was going to walk on at the University of Alabama. And so I really trained really, really, really hard. But I didn't have any proof of this stuff. This was all the stuff I was doing out of high school when I wasn't that good in high school. I didn't understand football when I got into high school. I didn't play football, little league football. I played probably like one time. My dad put me in one little league at one time in my life as a kid, but it didn't even last that long. It was like 5 weeks, and that was the only time when I ever did any kind of football leading up to me playing in high school. So I was completely terrible in high school, and so that's why I worked my ass off, because I was so bad in high school. I didn't have any tape. I became obsessed with being the greatest football player ever, the greatest football player that I possibly could be, and that's what I did. But I did it when I was in college. I couldn't get on the team because I wasn't going to class, and so I wasn't going to class. My grades were suffering. On top of that, I had no film, and so all I was doing was just training. That's all I had to show for. So of course a coach would not take his, Of course a coach is not going to take any chances on me. You see what I'm saying? I didn't understand that. I didn't understand that until the NCAA told me that, oh, your time ran out. I'm like, oh wait, I thought my time ran out when I'm playing. No, your time runs out. Your time starts when you are taking classes, not when you're playing. So I didn't have any more eligibility, and I found that out when I made the team for Stillman, and the coach told me that. He said, look, he told me I made the team. And he was like, you make it through training camp, you make it through, you make it through there, you're pretty much going to be on the team. And so, because I did a little mini tryout, when an 11-11 tryout with the Stillman players who's already on the team playing. And so the coach told me, he said that you make it. He said, if the players feel that you're good, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, you make it through this tryout with us, then we'll invite you to training camp. You make it through training camp, you'll be on the team pretty much. You'll be suiting up, in the fall. So I pretty much made the team, but the coach told me, he said that, hey, you got to get cleared by the clearinghouse before you can even step on the field with us in training camp in August, it was July at the time. It was like the last week of July. He said for next week. And so the NCAA, they told me, they said, you don't have any more time. And so I got depressed. So I walked out, and I dropped out of school because then I couldn't play at all at NCAA. And there was another conference. They said that there was another conference called the NAIA or something like that. It was like a D3 or whatever conference. I can't remember, but I was so close to doing it. It was, but I think I think there was a school in Iowa, a D3 school in Iowa, I was considering going to, but I was like, I'm not going to go all the way to Iowa and play D3 ball. So I went to Atlanta. I played a little bit there, and I played at a pro indoor league team in Atlanta. It was I can't remember the name of the indoor league. The pro indoor league, I think it was called the AIF, American Indoor Football or something like that. And it was this team called the Atlanta Sharks. But I don't want to get too much into that, what happened with that. That'll be another story, another day. But long story short is, what I'm pretty much talking about is, I don't know how I got onto all that, but my point is that I'm saying all that to tell you my experience with football. And one thing I do know from my experience in football, and also from me talking to other professionals in football and talking to people who are professionals in the NFL, not just players, but like the front office, assistant general managers, because I put myself around these people, because I still love the sport. I'm still obsessed with it. I believe I put too much time into this sport to just let it go. So this is why I have this channel. But coaching matters a lot. It doesn't matter how talented a roster, an NFL roster is. If they don't have great coaching, they're not going to be that successful. They're just not. And so this is why I'm so big on the Chargers this year. This is why I'm so big on the Chargers, period. Because now we finally have great coaching. We have a great coaching staff, a great head coach. Our culture has changed since Marty Schottenheimer. We have a coach that we can believe in since Marty. And this is just good for the sport. This is good for the NFL in general, because we want the NFL to be more competitive. So yeah, let's just check out this. Let's check out the press conference of Jesse Minter, and let's see, and let's see what he talks about. Thank you so much for joining. All right, let's watch
Game on
this.
Saturday, first preseason game.
Yeah, first preseason game. It was good to see the guys play. It was, I thought we played with good energy, played with good effort, a lot of things to clean up, what you expect from the first game. So really just trying to attack the details, situational football, just all the little things that we can do better, and tried to attack those this week. And, particularly the young guys, get them ready to make a big jump from week 1 to week 2, which you hope for. So excited to see them get another opportunity to go out and play again this week.
You mentioned Traymon last week as a guy you were excited to see. What did he show you in the game? And then it seemed like he's been flashing in practice again this week.
Yeah, he, I thought he played pretty well. I think it is a lot of the guys is like just the first game and getting through that, and now they kind of realize what it is, what it takes, the consistency that it takes, the play after play mentality. And so he's had a good camp. Mentioned that a few times, but just excited for him to get that. Now that he's done it, now that he kind of has a little bit maybe better expectation of how the game goes and everything, that he'll go out there and really be able to put his best foot forward out on Saturday.
In terms of corner depth, what do you like about Matt Hankins?
He's smart, tough, knows how to play football. He's physical. He's around the ball. You don't have to tell him very many things more than once, which I think as a coach, like you enjoy coaching players that when you give them a coaching point or something that they take it and it happens pretty quick. And he's like that. He's very serious approach about his game. And he's got a lot of versatility. He's lining up all over the secondary for us, trying to create value for himself. And he's had a good camp up to this point.
Adding on to that, we've seen some corner play safety go to corner. What value does that have when guys when you can kind of cross train guys?
Number one, I think it's for their own individual value, for the roster, and trying to put themselves in the best position to be that. And then for us, I think it's like you got to be really careful sometimes of who is the next best football player. If your fourth guy goes down, I want the next best player in the game. Okay, he's a safety, he's a corner, he's a nickel. I want the next best football player in there. And I think we try to approach it that way and teaching the guys positions. It doesn't always perfectly, line up like that. A corner can't just go in there and always play safety and vice versa. But I do think the versatility allows you to try to keep your best players out there. And always have that next best guy available. And then also for those guys, try to create value for themselves.
Now, Coach, obviously,
Best guy available. And then also for those guys, try to create value for themselves.
Now, Coach, obviously,
I love that Jesse Minter said that, because I like the whole idea that Jim Harbaugh is getting not just players who are just great at their labeled position. He is also getting football players, footballers, guys that can play football. A football player is a player that is versatile, that can play different positions and make an impact. I believe that's really, really great, because if you have a lot, I won't even say a lot, if you have a few great football players on your team, that is just going to make your team exceptionally better. It's just going to make your roster better. It's going to make your team more impactful and more effective. And you have that on top of great coaching and a great coaching staff. I mean, it's going to be very hard to beat that team. It's not going to be a walk in the park to beat that team at all. So what Jim Harbaugh is doing, man, it's phenomenal. It really is, and it's not going to be noticed until the season, until when the Chargers start dominating. So yeah, I think that's great. And Jesse Minter, I mean, he's pretty much sounds like Jim Harbaugh out there, to be honest. What he's saying on the podium. You're getting football players. If one guy goes down, another guy up, and this guy might be the safety might go down, but you could probably have the corner take the safety spot for right now. I mean, that's a football player, and that also comes with great coaching. Only great coaching will be able to identify stuff like that and be able to put players in the right position to make an impact and to be effective. Putting players in the position to do those things. You know, squeezing every single ounce that you can get out of this player so he can play to his full potential. Like Jesse Minter said, that in essence is going to make the player more valuable. And when you talk about the NFL, those dollar signs for that player is just going to go up even more. So maybe that player can just go on somewhere else. And it seems like Jim Harbaugh is like no hard feelings. Next man up. I'll find somebody else. I'll find another football player. You know, the same thing with what they did with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. You know, it doesn't seem like Jim Harbaugh is holding on to guys either. It seems like Jim Harbaugh is like, hey, if you want to leave, go ahead. It's fine. Next man up. Jim Harbaugh has enough competence and confidence in his coaching, and he is a great coach to believe that he can coach anybody to be a great football player and to be able to find them. And then you got Joe Ortiz, our general manager, who is a master at finding talent. He is, you know, when he was doing that with the Ravens. I mean, it's a system they're building there, man. It's a system. It's not just a philosophy. They are building a successful system. That's what Joe Ortiz, Jim Harbaugh, and these coaches are doing. And people who are there at the Chargers organization are buying into it. This is beautiful. I mean, this is beautiful.
We didn't get to see the joint practice again with the Rams, but you did see them, you know, a couple Sundays ago. How does that preparation, you know, and being able to see them then and then now leading up to the game against them again, how does that, like, you know, help you?
You know, I think it's just the players have an idea a little bit of kind of how they operate schematically, some of their favorite plays. You know, we honestly, as a staff, not putting a ton of stock into like what they ran in practice against us versus the games. So really, I think it's advantageous for players to have played a team, have a kind of an idea who they're going against, what they were like. You know, they can watch themselves going against that particular tackle or receiver or whatever. And it just gives them a little bit of confidence that they've gone against that person before. And hopefully they go out there and play well Saturday with that confidence.
Jesse, do you get more out of a joint practice or just a regular thing when you're going against your own guys?
I think both, honestly. I think especially being new this year and having new schemes on both sides of the ball, we get a lot out of our normal practices. There's always, I think both sides, particularly those first 2 to 3 weeks where you're installing, you're putting a lot of stuff in. So we're able to see a lot of different schemes from our own offense. I think the advantage of them, you know, on occasion is just seeing a different system. You know, seeing the Coach McVay system versus what we do. The guys getting a chance to go up against different players. I think it just brings sparks that element of maybe a little higher ramped up competition than a normal practice. And then, you know, particularly for a lot of the starters, you know, that's their opportunity to get those more game-like reps, even though they weren't live situations either, but to kind of get that flow of the game, get a lot of reps against other people. So I think they're both advantageous, and enjoyed that first practice with them and also enjoy going against our own guys every day.
You talked about just like the evaluation going into the first game. Does any of that change going into the second game now you have like tape on the players in the first game?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're always stacking the team, you know, and stacking the positions. And the games do carry weight, you know, because that's real football. That's having to make tackles. That's having to finish on the quarterback, like all the different things that sometimes you don't get the full tilt in practice. So, the games are a huge piece of the evaluation. Come in and meet about it and stack it and talk to Joe and the personnel side. And so, I think each game is a huge part of that evaluation process and another opportunity for these guys to put it on tape.
What did you see in that first game against Seattle? What kind of jumped out at you? I thought the guys just handled, hey, it's the rhythm of the game, playing. I
I think for us defensively, there's things that we're chasing. Didn't feel like we put our best foot forward in some areas. Situational football, third down, getting off the field, not attacking the ball. And so I think as a group, it gives you a starting point. It's kind of a foundation of, okay, this is really where we're at right now. And then it allows you to attack very specific areas to try to get better for the next game. I thought the guys that maybe weren't playing or only played a few were engaged, and I enjoyed them being engaged in the game and sort of like following along how we were trying to call the game and stuff like that. So it's good for those guys to see us as a new staff. This is how they kind of operate on game day, and this is how it's going to feel in September. So I think you get a lot out of it. But most importantly, we do want to try to win the game. I mean, we're competitors, and Coach Harbaugh is a competitor. We're competitors, and so we want to try to play better this game.
How exciting for you to see Junior start to ramp it up a little bit?
Yeah, definitely exciting. So he, obviously a guy I know very well, and have a good idea of what he knows about our defense, but want to see him do it at this level and against these caliber players. So excited to continue to see that ramp up happen.
How's your thinking evolved as preseasons are not the way they used to be? You can't tackle like you before, and you want to see them do this, and you want to teach fundamentals.
Yeah.
So how has your coaching evolved with that going into a season?
Yeah, I really think that you even have to double down even more on the fundamentals to really practice it, and you're not always going to get to do it in the live game situations. But teaching the body position of tackling, teaching the angles that you want to take to get to the football. I believe we spend a ton of time on that, and I hope it's an advantage for us. I hope it's something that separates us from other teams in the league. And so it's just, to me, it's here's kind of the rules, so to speak, or here's how it is. We still got to find the most advantageous way to get good at football, to get good at the fundamentals, so that in the games we're ready. And I think that's just kind of how we've tried to attack it. But yeah, you're not going out there and tackling every day, and so it's focusing on those things and showing them clips of, okay, this is your body position here, and this is what this needs to look like in the game. So trying to really just be great teachers in that regard and have those guys ready to play on the game day.
Going back to Junior, is he close to playing in the game?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure about that for this game. So
I know that must be a difficult thing to come back from.
yeah.
That he blew up today?
Yeah.
Is that kind of what he offers?
He's just we drafted him where we drafted him for a reason. We think he's a really good player. I think, it's funny because I used to tell scouts at Michigan, hey, he's a sideline to sideline linebacker that can play all three downs, that has coverage skills, that, particularly with his background, with his story, I think still has a really high ceiling, even though he played really well in college. But just being a little bit new to football, 6, 7, 8 years ago. So I'm excited about his potential, but just want to get him out there and throw him into the competition and see where it shakes out.
Back in the league with a bunch of new faces, is there anything that stands out at all that is like a huge? Your expectations were this. It's like, wow, that's not what I thought. Good, bad, or indifferent.
I think just getting used to the number of players. Right now we have 90, but last year in camp we had I think you have 110 or whatever it is, and in the season you have 120 something guys, and so managing the reps and taking care of the guys that need to get certain amount of reps, need to get certain amount of work, versus guys that can just play, the 20-year-old college guy that's like, put me in there for as long as you need me. So I just think managing the pros and the guys that are need work, but also need to be really healthy and fresh for the games. So just try. I think just getting back into thinking about that a lot, trying to manage that, trying to put them in the best position to be their best on game day and not on a Wednesday. So that's definitely
There
something.
we have
that's
it.
gonna
I
focus.
appreciate you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and let me know how you feel in the comments about this video and about what I said. Hope you you so much, and we'll